one of the value proposition is trying to scale the decentralized applications to deploy on Polkadot and with Acala platform. And we are an Ethereum compatible smart contract platform, but we have our own niche. Our niche is decentralized finance and an open finance platform. So yeah, and then I'll explain what that actually means. So if you look at Akala in a bit of distance, our goal has always been bringing a more democratized or more open financial systems and also services to everybody on the planet, right? That's a very bold and very broad vision, but how we get there is through providing a decentralized finance hub or platform as the infrastructure, and then work with many different application protocol builders and also fintech institutions to be able to bring those experience to everybody, to your friends and families, folks who are not necessarily need to use a crypto wallet or even do yield farming, but can still enjoy a lot of the stuff that we built here to give them options for their financial access. And that is, we kind of tune it this like as an app store for finance, but a decentralized one, right? And I try to summarize, Akala in just a few terms, see if you can grasp the concept here. But we'll have some visuals later on to help you out. So basically, the starting point of Akala is we are one of the parachains on Polkadot, and we are basically taking the position as the liquidity and DeFi hub of Polkadot. And in order to become a liquidity and DeFi hub, you don't just claim the name, right? You gotta, have the features to enable us to do that. So there are kind of like three things there that we have already built, right? Number one is we have building DeFi primitives as well as DeFi optimizations, and those are a Polkadot or dot asset based decentralized stablecoin. And as those of you who are, sort of know or familiar with stablecoins, their demand is in the rise. And often supply couldn't actually catch the demand of stablecoin because stablecoin is used for trading, for leveraging, for payments, for settlements. There are many, many use cases. They are also the very, very base level of building block for many of the decentralized financial protocols and services. And there are only a small handful, less than a handful, maybe a couple of rising stablecoin, decentralized rising stablecoins at the moment in the market. So certainly the market is huge. At the same time, it usually requires high quality assets to back them. And in our case, we certainly start from the dot asset classes to create the stablecoin. And then the next thing is releasing or aggregating a lot of the liquidity from the Polkadot ecosystem. That's from liquid staking, the dot related derivatives, as well as assets from other parachains that we are going to list, as well as really going beyond the Polkadot ecosystem is bridging various different type of assets like BTC, like ETH, like other ecosystem like Solana, Terra, and also many other rising ecosystems there. So those built-in liquidity and also built-in primitives or building blocks is gonna be very attractive for the protocols that build on top of Akala and help us together to deliver those DeFi services and experiences to the end users. And this is done through smart contract, open permissionless platform. And the first one that we implemented is the Ethereum compatible EVM. There are other technology are being built, but once those ready, we'll release them. So. So I won't go into detail of this slide. So for those who are very keen to understand the offerings that we have, you can have a read about this afterwards. But I'll just point out a couple of things that are probably quite unique about Akala. So number one is obviously, we claim ourselves to be DeFi chain, and as one of the reasons is we are able to customize at the blockchain layer to actually serve many of the more scalable, even institutional applications that serve the mass market. Maybe two examples. One of them is, for users on the chain, you can actually pay gas fee in any token you like. So, for example, if you're doing, imagine, you're doing a Visa card transaction, paying $10. That transaction is actually settled on, for example, Akala. You don't need to pay this weird native token as fees, which the price fluctuates up and down dramatically day after day. The accountant wouldn't, wouldn't be able to grasp that concept. But on the Akala chain, we have already managed to pay transaction fees in any token, including stablecoin. And that might seem a very subtle and very tiny customization, but in any chain that cannot, customize at a chain level, this is a very, very hard thing to do. It's not that you can write the best smart contract, you can actually change the economy of the blockchain. But for a solution like Akala that we are, basically optimized for DeFi use cases, that's something that we can do. And then the second thing is more for folks who are a little bit more familiar with DeFi, right? So in many of the DeFi protocols, whether it's for lending, borrowing, using some sort of collaterals, or some yield aggregator, right? You often require this application called Keeper, which is automatically rebalance your earnings or automatically check the risk of the position and then to liquidate your position. So so far, all of these are actually done off the blockchain. And if folks who are slightly familiar with how the banking system works today, is there are a lot of the schedulers, right? This automatic so-called keeper type of applications linking various different parts of the system together to actually make the whole thing automatic, right? And then we are here to produce this decentralized or Web3 technology stack to kind of trying to replace or at least, evolve those old systems. But we are kind of like today we're still piecing bits and pieces together on chain and off chain. So the keeper is a critical piece in many of these financial transactions, whilst they are done in a centralized server running by known or unknown parties off the blockchain that requires trust, right? So this is also not something that really a smart contract developer can solve. This actually require on the blockchain under more fundamental change of the blockchain structure. And this is something Substrate and Akala are able to implement to have this keeper functionality, the automatic scheduling functionality implemented on the blockchain itself, right? So, and this is not us just claiming it. We have already gone live with this feature on our blockchain deployed on the Kusama blockchain, and that's the sister network of Polkadot. And our liquidation and collateral system is actually using this feature live, right? So it actually works and it's amazing. So that's how much I would say on for the solution that we have for Akala. So this slide, I'll just briefly talk about the Akala tech stack. So you can read it from the bottom to top, right? So this is basically everything as a service. So at the bottom, you can see Polkadot is the ledger as well as the trust as a service, because Polkadot is basically keeping track of everything that's going on, and then at the same time it provides a validator set, and that's when you hear people say it's shared security, and that's basically it provides its validator set for all the blockchains that connects to it or parachains connects to it. And then Akala actually uses Polkadot's trust as a service. And then for Akala, then you can say Akala is a DeFi as a service. So at the very, very bottom layer, built-in liquidity through the liquid staking, through the DEX that we have, as well as built-in primitives like the stablecoin that we produce, as well as DeFi optimizations. And these are just a few examples that we have. And as we progress and work with more people, I'm sure there will be unknown optimization that we'll have to do in the future to kind of innovate our way through time. And then above this layer is the open protocol layer. So we are almost like a sandwich, right? At the bottom is the infrastructure that we help to power this economy. And then in the middle layer, it is the open protocol layer. Right now, it's done through the EVM Plus. Obviously, it's fully compatible with Ethereum, but at the same time, it's all customizable with all the features that I mentioned at the bottom layer are all made available in the open protocol layer. And in the open protocol layer, basically it's permissionless. Anyone can use any of the facility that we provide to create another layer of applications, protocols, lending and borrowing, any type of financial instruments. And then on the top layer, we have set ourselves up as the hi-fi infrastructure provider, and that's hybrid of DeFi and centralized finance. Because in order to actually get to, my mom and dad to actually be able to enjoy some of the benefits that we built in the Solvent Web3 technology here, I don't think they're gonna use MetaMask one day, regardless, how much we actually improve in that regard. Or I don't think they're ever gonna use Polkadot.js one day, right? I think those are more for early adopters and folks who actually know what they're doing. And it's more likely majority of the people will still be, swiping their card, using the app they're familiar with. But behind the scene, many of those operations are actually powered by the infrastructure that we provide here in the Web3 or the decentralized DeFi infrastructure. And that's the stuff that you see on the top, right? So then it's like a sandwich, right? So then we are in a position to actually help link up the end-to-end experience so that we can serve more people, I guess. And then on the side that you can see is the connectivity, the multi-chain aspect of it. We can connect all the other chains within the Polkadot ecosystem trustlessly by default. And then we also have multiple different bridges into all the other different blockchain ecosystems as well, so that we are truly in a multi-chain setup for, I guess, scale, as well as having the import and export of various different assets between all those ecosystems. Cool. So this is just another sort of illustration showing some of the examples there. So so we, for example, we have multiple Bitcoin bridges that is going to bring BTC assets into the Akala chain, and also multiple Ethereum bridges, and also, as I mentioned, also bridges to other ecosystems as well to bring all those assets together. And then we've also connected to Compound Gateway to upload and download Polkadot ecosystem assets onto Compound, as well as download other assets and Compound Cash into the ecosystem to actually serve all the economy here. These are just like two examples that I kind of alluded to. So basically on the top layer, the sandwich, the top layer, current.com is basically sitting at the top layer there as the fintech integrator that we have. Through them, we will potentially be able to serve, at least 3 million US customers who doesn't necessarily need to know the tech behind the scene, but are able to enjoy the financial services that are powered by Akala. And then in order to actually do all of this stuff that we are having, right, serving more people, working with fintech companies, as well as supporting the DeFi expansion, security is always, sort of the number one in our mind. There's two aspects, and probably more aspects of security. One is certainly the code or the technical security. The other is the economic security because we're in DeFi. So we have a long-term sort of partnership with Ganglet Network, who is the economic auditor for Aave, Compound, and Maker, and a few other notable protocols. And they're helping us to kind of assess our risks ongoing. And then we also work with Trail of Bits, SR Labs, and Slow Mist, and some other auditors to continuously audit our code base as we are continue to evolve even to today, right? So we've done I think so far 5 security audits, but we're about to turn on this ongoing security audit. Like every month there will be audits to ensure our code base is safe. Yeah, so here just some numbers. For those of you who are relatively new, there are Polkadot ecosystem has 2 networks. There's Polkadot and there's also Kusama. And then the Kusama network has already gone live, right? It already gone live with 10 parachains. And then Akala's sister network called Karura has already launched on Kusama. So some of the numbers here are like live, real data from that network. So far, there's we kind of accrued. Well, thanks to all of you guys. You're one of the 630,000 community members we have worldwide. And then we currently have more than 72,000 account holders on the network. And I think we have more than 30 ecosystem partners now, but we're just like we didn't keep the exact number, but we're going to release the list of all the ecosystem partner that we have in coming days. And then on the Karura chain that we have, so we have already accumulated about 2% of the KSM token. If you can translate that as like 2% of, maybe 2% of DOT on Akala, that are used for trading, minting stablecoin, liquid staking, and doing all sorts of activities on top of that. And these are just very locally within Akala, right? Or within Karura. And then as soon as we turn on EVM and also bridges, the economy all of a sudden will become a global economy. You will see globalization coming when assets, foreign assets comes into Akala, and then assets floating out of Akala, and then also applications deploy on Akala, doing many of the different interesting innovations on top of it. So I would say, after 2 months, this is only just the beginning. Yeah, and then I think that's it for this slide. Thanks. Cool. Yeah, so I will encourage you, we can share some links for you to kind of experiment. So all of this technology that we kind of about to launch on Akala is already proven on a live network called Karura, right? And then many of so almost all of the stuff that we said on our white paper already been delivered on the Karura chain. But of course, there will be distinct differences between the 2 platforms. One is KSM based, one is DOT based to start with. And the second thing is Akala is more geared towards fintech institution and also the higher grade of serving probably the mass market, where Karura, in a way, it has a lot of creative user base, potentially, having NFT plus DeFi application deployments on top of it, and many interesting use cases that can be experimented on Karura. So it's, so encourage you to check it out. Yeah, so as I said, it's been about 2.5 years since we start building. We started with like 4 or 5 people, and then today it's kind of evolved to about 30 people also, and we are also quite decentralized. Myself and about half of the team is sitting in New Zealand, and then also another half of the development team is sitting in China. And then, Dan used to be in US, but no longer. But there's also a group of folks, the growth team, and also a couple of developers are sitting in US. and we also have folks in the Europe as well, Albania and some other areas. So it's quite spread out, and it's quite cool to work with folks from different backgrounds, different culture. It's kind of just cool. And then today we are still 80-90% engineers, economists, and product designers, and we are have a small team of growth and community managers, and then we are continue to grow the team to kind of achieve our vision there. And then another thing to point out is I think it's probably no shame to claim we are striving to be the top development team in the Substrate and Polkadot ecosystem. We are consistently one of the top contributors to the code base, and that's what we are very happy to do, because when we first come in, the ecosystem is almost empty, just ourselves and Parity. And it's through everybody's hard work and also being able to open source and share a lot of the stuff that we did with other teams and other people who come in later to be able to grow the ecosystem. I think that's the beauty of the Polkadot setup, as well as the open source way of building a project, right? So, if you are a developer coming to this space, feel free to check out our GitHub repo and also our OIML sort of shared GitHub repository for the community. And if you could, contribute and also share your works to kind of like grow the ecosystem that we are in. So speaking of backers, I feel bad that I couldn't actually include everybody. So if you're not on this list, please don't feel offended. We always remember those who actually help us along the way. So we are, kind of lucky enough from 2 years back, have some really top folks in the industry, help us along, like Polychain, Pantera, Coinbase, Digital Currency Group. You can see it's a long list because we've intentionally trying to decentralize our VCs as well, so no one have really significant influence, but also at the same time are able to help us in different areas that we might need to get to the state that we are heading. So yeah. So here's a summary slide in terms of the thesis that we have building on top of Polkadot and why we built Akala this way, right? So the first thing is obviously we've been saying this for 2 years, is the future is multi-chain, and I'm sure everybody already shared that today, seeing what's happening in the industry. And then the second thing that I would say is specialization trumps generalization, right? So if you want to build the best app, you need to own the hardware. Can someone guess where that come from? So that's the Apple, right? So they own the entire tech stack, right? That's also Tesla. If you come across their latest AI release of the Tesla car, they actually customized the graphic card hardware to be able to calculate so much data on the crossroad to be able to make the right decision for autonomous driving, right? So this is also our thesis. In order to build the best decentralized finance application, you need to own the blockchain. And that's exactly what we're doing.